Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. In November 2015, Nigeria experienced its first outbreak of Lassa fever in Bauchi, just as the country was just coming out of dealing with Ebola. However, there was a quick response from the government in curbing it. Recently, however, 2 persons, including a 36-year-old pregnant woman, have been reported to have died at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Luth, in Idiaraba, after being treated for Lassa fever with not less than 100 different hospital workers under surveillance. What led to the recurrence of Lassa fever, and what action could have been taken to permanently stop this widespread of Lassa fever? Joining us on the show is the Chairman House Committee on Health, Lagos State House of Assembly, Honorable Olusegun Olulade. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
I hope they're not fighting themselves in Lagos State House of Assembly.
I hope you guys are not punching.
We can't do that.
Okay.
Lagos House of Assembly is the most peaceful House of Assembly.
Okay,
in Nigeria,
all right,
and
we'll
will
see.
Continue to be so.
So going to the Lassa fever issue, we know the first outbreak recently happened, I think, in June. And then the first one was in December last year, I believe, in recent times. And then in this last June, we heard about those the 3 people in Luth. What has Lagos State done so far? Because we are hearing that it's in all, I think there's 17 states actually that have had these outbreaks. What is Lagos State doing, first of all, to curb and stop it permanently?
Well, to start with, we have 5 cases in Lagos State. Right. Unfortunately, we lost 2. And we have 3 others. As I speak with you today, one of them is back home.
Okay.
Oh, God.
And the other 2 have been tested. We've done the first test, and they are negative now. So the second test will be going on today by the grace of God. And we expect that they should also go back home so that they can have their oral antiviral drugs. And also, we have about 159 contacts in the process that we are monitoring, and I can assure you that as it is, I think Lagos is gradually becoming free of Lassa fever. That's good news. And what we do differently is that we have the personnel, we have the structures, we have our health care providers ready at every given time. And the government is always being proactive about issues like this. We already have centers that have been created for us to examine cases of, if there is any, and we have stages of monitoring what goes on in Lagos State.
Fantastic. So it means that the 2 people who have done their first test and it's negative, they've responded to treatments because they're actually positive initially. Yeah. Now, Ogun State is battling 1 case, and they're saying that they've run out of protective gear. They are claiming that their index case, a 20-year-old man, came from Lagos. So I'm saying now they've put 66 people under surveillance because of him in Ogun State. Are we thinking of people that he may have come in contact with in Lagos?
Because I was going to ask the question of, you know, the pregnant woman that finally passed in Luth, they said, according to the reports that we read, that she was in a private hospital before she got to Luth. Now, the 100 and something people that are under surveillance,
are they from that hospital?
Luth, or is it from the previous hospital? Because
we're looking at the 2 because we are not just tracing it to just the contact they had in Luth. And we look at where they are coming from, the people they have made contact with in their respective homes, so that we can easily trace them. And that's why you can see the figure rising up to 159 people. And for us in Lagos, we ensure that we know this outbreak is something that could leads to loss of life, and with that we ensure that every stages of reporting and feedbacks are provided for, so that people can easily report cases and we can address it.
I was going to interrupt you because the way you keep on saying for us in Lagos, you are encroaching actually on the federal government territory.
That's where my
because
question
I remember
is.
when cholera came to Queen's College, federal government told Lagos State, you cannot close down our school. It's our territory. Do you have the right and the jurisdiction for what you're doing as a government?
We do, because we have a concurrent right concerning the issue of health. And we can, anybody that is on the soil of Lagos, the state government have that right to ensure the protection and the welfare of such individuals. So
my issue is, obviously, Lagos has a good response system to this type of crisis. However, we cannot be isolated in a country with major health challenges. So it will still come here. It didn't originate from Lagos. The Lassa fever did not originate from Lagos. It came to Lagos. The likelihood is that it will still come if we don't help other states to decisively solve the problem.
Let me link that to my question, which is correct, because I was reading the report that WHO and I think United Nations initially did a report on 17 states in Nigeria. Lagos wasn't even part of those states. That was last year, that actually had the outbreak. And what they did was create centers where this could be managed and trained personnel in each of these states. So the same training that you have to ensure that you can manage it was created by WHO and the United Nations in these states. How come still they're having troubles in managing or containing actually these cases and not letting them live their
Well, I cannot speak about the other states, but I can only talk about Lagos State, what we do here. And I think it is important that Lagos cannot stay in isolation. We expect that people should learn from us. They should also work with us and collaborate with us. And like I said, it's not something that is all about government. You mentioned WHO. These and other NGOs should also collaborate with those state governments and even with us to ensure we have some sort of preventions and see how we can.
Okay, I think I want to go from the angle of the root cause of Lassa fever, which is the the rodent itself.
Yes.
And we know that rodents only breed and they continue to multiply in dirty environment. Do you understand? So what is Lagos State government doing to curtail, because we, in recent times we've had a lot of issues with waste management and all that, and I think maybe this can actually cause the multiplication of those rodents. So what's Lagos State doing to curb that and at least eradicate those rats?
Clean Lagos.
The first thing I would say is that a lot of things have been done by the state government, but it's now we are now expecting the public to also buy into it. The Clean Lagos initiative will start fully in September, but that still does not stop us from managing our waste, from providing containers, refuse bin, and all sort of things in our respective homes, and for cleaning our environment. When you get to some homes or where they even sell foods, you see people. You see how dirty people could be. And that's one thing I think we should always build up institutions like KAI that we do have to arrest these people. It's not that we always introduce sentiments.
Wole
the likes of Wole, the health officers, we should encourage them, not trying to always, because when they arrest somebody, we still condemn such.
Honorable, you are in the House, you make laws. Obviously, Lagos is proactive in terms of health. How are you pressurizing your colleagues on the federal level to make laws to ensure that the pressure on the Ministry of Health is not, because the pressure on them is what is causing this. If we devolve the power and ensure that everybody handles their state's health system, it might be better. What are you doing? How are you working with them to ensure this becomes a reality?
I think we are not doing well in the area of collaborations with the other houses of assembly and also at the national level. I expect that we should start talking to one another now. We should even have an association of chairmen on health across the state, across the nation, where we talked about how issues could be handled in relation to health matters. But unfortunately, that is not still happening. But I want to believe that once we can address the issue the way we are doing now, I expect that the National Assembly, we also have representative at the National Assembly.
Right.
We have House of Rep members, we have senators,
right,
and we have the Chairman Committee on Health at the National Assembly. I think they should take up the challenge to see how we can address the issue of health.
Unfortunately, we have to round up. But I think what I would like you to just inform us categorically that hopefully in the next couple of days, Lagos State should be free. Or
yes,
by the grace of God, in the next 24 to 48 hours, we should be declared free. Lassa fever free. By the grace of God.
Well done. Let's take a break now. When we come back, still on Lassa fever. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, calls the attention of Nigerians to an increasing number of Lassa fever cases and advises increased focus on the prevention and preparedness. Joining us to discuss the treatment and prevention of Lassa fever is a specialist from the Nigeria Center of Disease Control, Adefolari Okpawoye. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
Now, we already spoke to a representative from Lagos State saying how they're controlling it. But for those of us that still don't understand what Lassa fever is, as somebody working in the disease control, tell us exactly what Lassa fever is, how you can catch it, and how it can be transferred from person to person.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, by way of a quick addition, I work in Luth, that's Lagos University Teaching Hospital.
Great.
Senior registrar in internal medicine.
Should we be wearing gloves?
Yes.
No. It hasn't got into that yet. Okay, so basically, Lassa fever is one of the viral hemorrhagic fevers. I mean, we all know the Ebola, which is like the senior brother. And actually, about 3 years ago, we were also involved in managing Ebola about this time. We were also in the isolation center having cases, which God helped us, we were able to handle. So it is one of the viral hemorrhagic fevers, which they usually cause a lot of fatalities. And the hallmark is the fever, and then sometimes the patients bleed, and then they could die, and then it is highly communicable, so it can easily be transmitted from one person to another. Yes, it's caused by a virus, which is transmitted by the rats, which I discussed earlier. You know, unfortunately, it's very difficult to get rid of rats. I believe everybody has rats in their houses. You know, you just have to look for it. They don't really stay in dirty areas. From Ikoyi to Ikorodu, I believe you have rats everywhere.
So when we hear Center for Disease Control, we're thinking gadgets, people who know their stuff, they're coming to quarantine, these people, you know, we're thinking of a center that is well equipped to contain it. So the question, how come generally in various states, we're having trouble so that it's still growing? Is it like the NCDC is not able to contain it? Is it that you're ill-equipped to contain it? What exactly is the issue? Why does it seem as though Lassa fever is still thriving?
Okay, I think Lassa fever is what we call an endemic disease. Endemic means it's always here. In fact, I mean, it was named after a village in Borno State. There's the Lassa village. Yes, it actually originated in Nigeria in 1969. That was when it was first discovered. So it is with us. It's not something that it's just it's a seasonal kind of outbreak, though it's not really predictable. So it's difficult to say. I mean, it's more of you watch out for it. When it comes, you control it, and which is what we have been able to do successfully. You know, that's really what we can do.
We read the report, because I will go back to that pregnant woman. She was in a hospital. She went to the Luth and all that. I think it was after her passing that they discovered.
Yes, they did autopsy.
They did autopsy and now discovered it was Lassa fever. So now, as a health worker, when you get anybody that comes into the hospital, are you not supposed to take precautions? Because the medical doctor that died didn't need to die if she had, you know, prepared. Is it that you don't, doctors are not sensitized, or they just feel like, or is it sanitized or something? Yes. Or they just feel like, you know what, I think I can handle this. Because I don't see
sensitized and sanitized.
No, sensitized, that's the word I'm looking for.
That's what you're looking for.
You know, because every time you come into the hospital and you hear of a doctor contracting a contagious disease, Does it mean the doctor did not prepare?
There's no standard of operation that protects the medical officials.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. There's no dead doctor. Okay, sorry about that. Yes, the doctor is alive and well.
Oh, she's alive.
Yes, I still spoke to her yesterday. Yeah, she's very fine. That was the case that the Honorable said has actually been discharged. So
fantastic.
She's very fine. She has been reunited with her family. Okay, now, well, I think this will actually make you to appreciate the kind of hazards that doctors actually do go through. You understand? And you know, I always let people know that Nigeria holds the record as one of the few countries that was able to manage conditions like Ebola without a single health worker dying from it. Even the great United States was not able to achieve that. You understand? So, why
was a health worker?
Yes, but that was before it was detected. You know, when we started managing the cases, you know, Adadevo, God bless her soul now, she saw the index patient, you understand? But at the point in which we all started managing, that was in infectious disease hospital in Yaba, there was no single person that was further infected as a result of managing the cases.
So how many infectious disease centers do we have in Nigeria?
Well, there are a few. Like Lassa fever, there's a National Center for Lassa fever in Irua, where Lassa fever is endemic. And that brings me back to the question of why don't suspect everybody. You see, that's one of those things we're trying to manage, panic. Because when you do that, then you go to an hospital now. Let's say, peradventure, you go to an hospital and immediately you're labeled. I mean, you're in trouble because nobody's going to touch you again. That's the truth. And so, yeah, the reason is that Lassa is not known to be endemic in Lagos. I mean, the very first case we had was just in 2015. That was January 2015. That was, I believe, that was the first case that we had. It's more of Edo State. Yes, fine. We know it is their issue there. So it's not an issue in Lagos. So the patient came in and we managed the patient normally until then things didn't seem to be adding up and just, okay, let's try.
But sir, Ebola is not a Nigerian problem.
Yes, but it came.
But it came and somebody was smart enough to see that this excessive high fever and hemorrhagic bleeding blood.
Yes.
So that pregnant woman was high fever and hemorrhagic. It should immediately flag down, but let's not even belabor that dead. Let's say that the Minister of Health has said that issues getting to your center takes a long time. When there was a breakout of meningitis in 2015, he said it took 7 months after 70 people had died before the federal got to hear that there was a problem.
The state hides the information.
Is it that the states are hiding? We also had a case of Kwara. 70 people are already dead.
Yes.
And they are wondering, they're still saying it is rumored.
Right.
So how is the information getting to the center?
Okay.
And can the center actually handle these issues?
Very good.
Communication.
Okay. That's a lovely question. Okay, ma'am. Now, let me ask you, have you ever been to Luth before as a patient?
Nope.
Never. You understand? And you can say that for probably 80% of people living in Lagos.
Yes.
Do you understand? And that's why these cases sometimes takes a long time because a lot of people are afraid of coming to these tertiary
Yes,
centers.
so
they tell us we don't come to you first. We go to a private hospital, and
Yes.
they refer us to you.
It's referrals.
Yes. So it's based on referrals, and that's why we're trying to get the message out now. And it's been much better. Even this morning, somebody just called me, oh, I'm feeling this, like this. And then, you know, don't forget, Nigerians, the first place you actually go is to the pharmacy.
Yes.
Oh,
Self-medication.
Yes. You do self-medication a lot. So somebody called me this morning, oh, I'm feeling like this, I'm having some fever, I'm having joint pains, I read something online, I think I may have Lassa. What are you doing at home? Get yourself to an hospital. You understand? So we're trying to build a referral system so that these cases get to us earlier because we have the knowledge and the specialty to deal with it. Again, remember the cases of, you know, the problem is sometimes when people go to these private hospitals, they are not handled well. And before you know it, you have a huge heartbreak on your hands.
Okay, so
but I don't think you've answered that top question because the Center for Disease Control, do they have a good communication channel
with
to
the
Ministry of Health? Because they need to know the level in which this disease come in each time.
And even down to the what's called primary healthcare centers. They should be able to see blood. Yes, they should be able to send an alert immediately.
So what is your center doing?
Okay. So I can speak for Luth, because that's where I work. Okay, and what I can say is that things are better. You understand, than where they were. You understand? Now you have numbers you can call, and I mean, I receive quite a bit of calls every day. You understand?
So now there are numbers.
Yes, which you can call, and then when you call, we'll discuss with you. If it's a case that we'll advise you on the appropriate things to do.
My producer just told me that you don't work for NCDC, that you're actually being referred by NCDC to us.
Yes.
So that's why I'm sorry for the questions directed at you for a second.
Yes, so that's
go ahead, Jumoke.
So how do we prevent, since we already know that Lassa is with us and there will always have rodents.
Okay.
So how do the general populace prevent Lassa fever? And just in case somebody has high fever, what's the first thing they need to do?
Okay, thank you very much. Very good question. So how do you prevent it? Rats. You understand? We try to deal with the rats, okay? Kill them any which way we can do that. Okay. You understand? And then, well, the hallmark is early detection and management. The good thing with Lassa, unlike Ebola, the senior brother, is that Lassa
the survival rate if it's early.
Yes, and then we have a drug for it. You understand? That was what we were able to do in Lut. Those cases, maybe because they were doctors, maybe because there was also quite a bit of awareness, they presented on time. We started them on, treated them on time, and everybody is fine. You understand? Yes.
May I ask a follow-up question? Because you keep on saying Lut. And I remember that in 2015, Nigerians were very happy that Lut was on strike when Ebola came to Nigeria. Okay. If not, Ebola would have gone haywire, because what Dr. Adedevo did, maybe a Lut doctor would not have been able to do. Now, what does the government need to do more? Because I have people who work in Lut. Incentives in terms of salaries, you see them once in a while carrying their for you know, the reason they went on strike in 2015, saying we're not being treated properly. Then after Ebola came, Lut didn't even have proper sanitary system, toilets, waste disposal, even water. So what does the government need to do?
Okay, there's a lot that the government needs to do, but I'd rather say, what can we do?
Okay.
You understand? I think the problem we have in this country is that we depend a lot on the government.
Okay.
Thank you, my brother.
And then there are so many other countries where, you know, there's a lot of there are a lot of charities, a lot of non-governmental organizations, people like you who support, you understand? So the problem is that many of these tertiary institutions are demonized. Are there problems there? Yes, definitely. I'm not going to ignore those problems. But what I'm going to say is that what I always tell people is that when push comes to shove, we're actually the last port of call for most people, because even when you go to this private hospital, a lot of times money runs out, and then you eventually have to come to Lut. And then Lut has the largest body of specialists anywhere in Lagos to deal with your problem. So, and I've worked in private hospitals too, and I know, you know, nobody likes to spend money on health. That's the truth, because you rather use that money to go to ShopRite, have a good time. You rather use that money to buy a car or something. By the time you spend money on your health, nobody likes that. So yes, there are a lot that can be done, but we need people to come.
Let's take a quick break now. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So I think Jumoke has a question.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to redirect my question, which is that we know that the government is about the people. All of us are governments, and we need to do our own.
Right.
If we clean our homes, right, the rodents will not have anything to feast on. But then again, healthcare in Nigeria, right, everybody complains about it. Hence my question about what is the government supposed to do. Now, when the president seeks medical care outside of the country, is there any hope that the healthcare system will change in Nigeria? Why? I know that this doctor is only waiting for his own opportunity also to fly abroad. We train medical doctors here and everybody runs away because they are not paying them well. Yes or no? What do we, government and people, need to do to improve healthcare in Nigeria? That's my question.
Let me take a call from Joss.
Before you
answer, let me take a call. Morning, are you there?
It's a question.
Good morning.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
From Jones, first time caller, man.
Welcome to the show.
Ma, I have a question for the
doctor.
My brother, Doctor.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Please, I want you to help me tell him what is the ultimately are doing about the issue of this Ebola. For example, now that we are in Ebola,
Lassa.
we know our government doesn't want to permit us to even say some things because of the environment we are in. You know, if you want to make some what call it issue of that Ebola, they may time it to become another thing entirely. You know what I'm saying about the issue of our crisis here. Because I couldn't find any center in Plateau here.
Okay.
And the way they build.
Thank you very much, Shegun. I didn't really get the question.
He was talking about Ebola.
Okay, but
so answer Jumoke's question.
But I think he was trying to say that the way they built the houses
in Plateau,
yeah,
that they are unable to say anything about it. But he kept on mentioning Ebola, so we couldn't connect. So the question about what the government and the people need to do to improve healthcare in Nigeria, because we know that it's in a terrible state, really.
Yes, I agree with you. And I think the first thing is that people need to appreciate, number one, their health. A lot of people don't really take care of themselves.
Okay.
And by proxy, the doctors, we usually, we take it for granted many times. You understand? And that's why sometimes things are, well, the way they are. You understand? It's not, you spoke about salaries and all that, but it's not all about the money. You understand? It's just about people actually appreciating what you do.
Okay.
Because every single day we risk our lives.
Very true,
for these patients.
Right.
And we are working at odd hours. We stay over in the hospital. And then when you go out there, the first thing people do is to denounce you. You understand? Yeah,
right,
sometimes.
Right.
So, and then,
let me take this call from Jumoke. Mikeja, are you there? Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, ladies. Please, I would like to mention a case that happened. My niece came from school last week Friday. By Saturday, she was hot. By Sunday, she went to the hospital. She was unconscious. And she was diagnosed with meningitis or cerebral malaria. And now she's dead. She's supposed to be 11. And nobody is saying anything. She came out from school, Federal College, Ijaniki in Badagry. I don't want, let us not have a case like Queen's College again. They should do something about that school and other federal government schools. Children are dying. They need to ask the parents if any of their children have not fallen ill during this holiday. The mom went to pick her up on Friday, and now she's dead by Friday.
Thank you very much, Jumoke, for this information, because we get schools, federal government schools. I mean, and cases come from these schools.
And that's where this tweet is coming from. Nigerian Panda said, what a lovely guest you have there. Lut might have the best specialists, but arguably not the best facilities. Do you understand? Because it's not just about having good hands. If the environment is not in a good working condition, how do you even treat these people? Because somebody else is tweeting and she's saying that Lut is like a graveyard. That's from Tata 4J. She said, Lut is like a graveyard. A lot of young doctors and inexperienced doctors, dirty place, rude nurses that you need to bribe, you know, before you can get a specialist. So, I mean, I'm wondering, what exactly can we do? Because if the facility is not in top shape, then it's as good as you're going there to go and die.
Ew.
Okay, yeah, so now you said you're going to go and die. Somebody said it's a graveyard. And that's okay, I keep talking about. And you want me to stay in Nigeria?
So you're planning to leave?
We're not, no, I'm here despite all this. You understand? I've had numerous opportunities to leave. Okay. You understand? But you see, that's what I keep saying. Just repeating itself right now. People don't appreciate what we do. You see, it is very easy for us to point to all the problems. Are these problems existing? Yes. It's very easy for us to down tools and say, look, until this is done. It's just like you saying that because the roads are bad, you're not going to come to work this morning. I mean, I put it to you that all of us comes from areas where you have to manage. I mean, we had the flood, and okay, because there is a flood in Lekki, you're going to pack out of the place. It doesn't make sense. Right. So that's the truth. Do we have limitations? Yes. But in spite of these things, we manage to save lives every single day.
Very true. Wow.
Right.
So we should
appreciate
what we do,
despite
the limitations we have, and then find out how can we help.
She mentioned something, and the caller also mentioned it. The rudeness from the nurses, rudeness from...
Okay, we've totally switched from Lassa fever now.
Yes. So the health sector, Lassa fever is one byteshoot of the issues in our healthcare sector. So I feel that in the midst of all this crisis, we as people, you said we should do our own part. Yeah. The doctors, they need to do our own part. The government needs to do their own part. But at the end of the day, the buck still lies with the government, because we need to ensure that we're encouraging them to do their work.
And last year, the governor sat right on this couch and said that they're going to invest about 20 billion in the health sector. Yes. Now, have you seen the effect of the investment so far in Luth?
It can't be in Luth.
No, it cannot be in Luth.
I know, but I mean, have you seen any effect of any investment support from the government of Lagos State so far?
I am not a politician.
And that's why we're asking you now. The politicians already stepped down. Now you that we're talking to.
Yeah, well, what I can say is that efforts are being made. We are seeing new buildings, new facilities. When this outbreak came in, when this Lassa fever issue came up, you know, it wasn't, it didn't, in as much as it looked as if it met us unaware, there were a lot of funds that were raised immediately. You understand, the support structures, because you can't work without these things. And that's why we have been able to manage these cases. So maybe there's even investment coming in, but I don't handle money. I do lives, you understand?
All right. Let's rush out with some tweets.
Fight for Yemen says, Nigerian federal government is bizarre. Lassa fever went and they never looked for solution to eradicate it. Now it's back. He says, people can help, yes, but Luth is primarily the federal government's responsibility. We pay our taxes.
Okpeyemi says, bring back our wole wole. When I was growing up, the wole wole were everywhere. Yes, so.
Ugochi says, good to know that there's a drug to manage Lassa fever. She claps. We need more, and the government can do more.
All right.
Good Mind for Real says we need to sensitize the general public, most especially the rural areas, on the grievous and endemic nature of Lassa fever.
All right, we need to rush off. So I'd like you to leave last word to our viewers, and especially those probably in those kind of areas that can actually breed those rodents. What would you say to them? Okay,
number one thing is that it is good to say that the situation is under control. This is not political. Like the Honorable said, we're actually getting to the tail end of the patients that are admitted, and most of our contacts are also, they're reporting every day and they are fine. You understand? So number one, people should not panic. It's under control. The health system, we are really trying to do the best we can do, and then try and stay away from rats for now.
Fantastic.
So and then cover your food so that the rats around don't get near to them. All right,
we have to run
off. So much.
Thank you very much.
So thank you for remaining in Nigeria.
Thank you so much.
He's traveling. He's already. He's arranging his papers. He's arranging his papers. Okay, that's all. That's all we can take on the show. Please don't panic. Lagos State has it under control. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.